Welcome to LabNotes. I'm Joe Fetterman with Colliers Real Estate Advisors, and today we have a special treat. We're here with Karina Sotnik of World Upstart, and you know what Karina's been doing for Philadelphia? Over the years, she's been cultivating opportunities for companies across the globe to come locate here in Philadelphia and found their companies here. Karina, welcome to LabNotes.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having me. It's a
So
pleasure.
how in the world did you get into a game like this, reaching out to folks across the globe and promoting Philadelphia? How did that happen?
Well, let me tell you, I came to United States from Europe in 1988, and I ended up being at the right place at the right time in Silicon Valley with a newly minted engineering degree. But very quickly, I moved to be in charge of taking US companies internationally. That's what I did while spending a decade in California. I took US tech companies to Europe and Asia. And then when the time came for us to move to Philadelphia, I got engaged with Scandinavian companies to help them come here. And I've learned so many things through that process. I later on joined University of Pennsylvania and built accelerator there. So I learned how to build the programs, and combining the two, the knowledge of entering new market and building a program like accelerator. This is what I did later on for the Science Center when I built the Global Soft Lending Accelerator. And this is what I do right now for World Upstart.
So, Karina, one of the things that you've mentioned in the past is you've said companies come into Philadelphia or into the U.S. and they have ideas about how easy it's going to be and how it's going to go. You've observed otherwise. Can you talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions that companies have when they arrive here?
Yes, thanks for asking this, Joe. So many times I meet companies that are thinking of expanding to US, and US is a very desirable market, but they all think of what I call the usual suspects. A lot of them think of California, specifically Silicon Valley, or New York, or Boston. And when I start talking to the companies and talking about their needs, it becomes apparent to me that there are other places in the US that will be more beneficial to them. But it's that educational process that we need to continue to do to be ourselves known to the companies. I had a company from Finland that came to my program once. They, like so many other European companies, went to Silicon Valley first. They were in healthcare, but they thought that Silicon Valley was the place to be. A year into it, they realized their mistake because the access to talent, the cost of living, all of it was prohibitive. They moved to San Diego. They realized their mistake, and then they did due diligence, actually looking at all the data that is available and zeroed in on Philadelphia. So, that's the process that I always tell companies to do. Compare the ecosystems, the talent pool, just the cost of talent and real estate and cost of living before you zero in on a place. Also, a lot of times companies just say, well, our CEO has a cousin who lives in Texas. We're going to Texas. Well, let me tell you, that's not a good enough reason to go to Texas. So, yes.
So you've had to do some education along the way. In fact, you shared a slide with us showing some of the cost of living and cost of real estate dynamics as how Philly compares to other cities on the East Coast. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, let me see if I can quickly share it with you because I find this slide to be very educational. And it's one of the slides that I freely share with the companies where you can compare just on the East Coast the cost of real estate and the cost of living. And you can see that Philadelphia actually looks very favorably to that. But when you then combine it with the access to talent pool that we have here with universities, with research centers, you understand that this might be the place to be. So yeah, I hope you were able to see the slide.
Yeah, no, we could see the slide. That was great. So I'm sure you've got some great before and after stories of companies that have gone through your program, kind of where they started, what they were thinking, and then when they came out the other end, really how well prepared they were to advance their growth and expansion into Philadelphia and into the United States.
So yes, and the stories basically keep repeating themselves with each new cohort that we have in our program. Let me tell you in a few words, the program runs for companies between 8 and 10 companies per cohort, because we find this number to be the best when the companies can learn from each other, and but also small enough that we can pay attention to each company. And a lot of times companies just don't know what they don't know. And so the aim of our program is to uncover for them what they didn't know they needed to know before coming to the US. A lot of companies think that they will come here, will open sales and marketing office, and will fundraise here because obviously, money just showers here in the United States. Well, through the program, they learn that no one will invest into sales and marketing office. Investors are interested in assets. Where is your IP? If your intellectual property is in Belgium, you need to find ways to transfer it to the US entity, or do maybe work with the collaborators here to do joint IP here. So that becomes really important. Now, investors in the US kind of spoiled, we don't have shortage of companies here. So they like very specific things, and they expect very specific things from the company. They expect the company to be incorporated in Delaware. They expect very specific incorporation formats. So we uncover all of that. But specifically, a lot of companies in healthcare are coming from a one-payer system. And for them to understand the US healthcare system is mind-boggling. So they think that they will come here, they find one distributor, and they will be golden. Well, not the case, right? So they need to understand before they even start talking to partners or investors, what is their reimbursement strategy? How long will it take to go through FDA process, and how much will it cost? So many companies underestimate both, right? They need to understand how to market to providers and payers. The procurement process at any clinic or hospital is vastly different in the US than in a country with the Ministry of Health, where it's a vertical push down. So all of this we uncover through the program. So by the end of it, they kind of have a pretty good understanding and a roadmap of what it is that they need to do. And sometimes through the middle of the program, they pivot, they change their strategies. A lot of times they do.
Karina, one of the things that you talked about also was the role of mentors and how important that can be in actually realizing their success here in Philadelphia. Is there more you could say about that?
Yeah, that becomes hugely important. I always tell companies to do their homework, to find the key opinion leaders in the United States in their field, and to tell us who those people are. Maybe there is a chance through our connections, and we're greatly connected here, we can find those people. It's very important for company with no traction in the United States to bring the right people to their board. And so if you can get the key opinion leader in your field to sit on your board in the United States, it changes the dynamic in talking to investors or potential partners. So what we do through the program, we bring in mentors who are those leaders in their field, and we partner them with companies. We give them 6 mentoring sessions for each company. And through those relationships, first of all, mentors are great at opening up their Rolodexes, but also we found that sometimes is the key to the success in the United States. So one of our mentors became a board member for a company out of Canada. Another introduced company to a potential partner who became the board member. So all of this becomes sort of a little bricks in how you build your success stories. Yeah.
Karina, you've been quietly behind the scenes, very successfully bringing companies from outside the U.S. here into Philadelphia. Can you share some numbers and perhaps one of your favorite stories about a company that's landed in Philadelphia? If you're at liberty to, maybe even a name or two, we'd love to hear. It's such important work that you're doing, and the success stories really should be highlighted.
Thank you so much. Well, it is a huge passion of mine to put Philadelphia on a map. Absolutely. And so when COVID hit, we put this program online. So now it's more accessible to companies. In a year and a half, we had 29 companies that went through this program. 14 of them are now in the United States. So I'm really proud of that conversion. I think that's a great success. Two companies come to mind because they just got FDA approval, and that's like a big deal to do it so fast. One company from Ireland called Shorla Pharma. They're in oncology for children and women. And another company who is in Pennsylvania called NeedleSmart. And NeedleSmart pivoted a little bit. They started with a solution for the needle, but they ended up being the software as a service for the complete solution for vaccination. They just got through the expedited FDA approval. So these two companies come to mind, but there's so many others that are, coming to United States. It's not a quick and easy success. Just like it took time in their own countries to get traction, it takes time to get traction in the United States. But you need to find the right ecosystem, and you need to find the program that will accelerate that process. And that's what we're trying to do.
Karina, well, thank you so much for what you're doing. It's wonderful that you could spend some time with us on LabNotes today, and we look forward to your continued success because we all benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe, for having me. It's a pleasure being here. Well, Clifford.